Wrangell-St. Elias National Park and Reserve covers more than 13 million acres in the eastern part of Alaska, next to Yukon in Canada. The park is the largest American national park. It's larger than Yellowstone, Yosemite, and Switzerland all combined. Wrangell-St. Elias National Monument was designated on December 1st in 1978 by President Jimmy Carter, using the Antiquities Act to resolve the allotment of public lands in Alaska. It was then established as a national park and preserve after the Alaska National Interest Lands Conservation Act in 1980. Within the park was a designated 5-mile-acre reserve for hunting. Nowhere else in the park is hunting permitted. The park is managed jointly by the National Park Service and the Alaska Department of Fish and Game. Both grizzly and black bears can be found throughout the park and reserve. Grizzlies in the park can weigh anywhere from 300 to 1,500 pounds and measure up to 9 feet standing up. The bear's food source throughout the park includes grasses, nuts, insects, berries, salmon, rodents, and even larger prey such as moose, caribou, and Dall sheep. Grizzly bears can hide themselves well in low brush and dense forests. Grizzly bears can smell food from many miles away. Their sense of smell is over 2,000 times better than a human. Bears are considered foraging carnivores. They would rather find food than burn off energy chasing down prey. The Wrangell-St. Elias National Park and Reserve is remote and has hardly any visitors except for hunters. Austin Pfeiffer, age 22, is one such hunter. Pfeiffer lived in Belleville, Ohio. He graduated high school in 2015. Pfeiffer was married to the love of his life, Ray Lee. The two married on October 20th in 2018. He worked as an arborist for a tree service. Arborists are tree surgeons who are specially trained in tree care. Pfeiffer spent all of his free time outdoors. He enjoyed hunting, fishing, and hiking. In September of 2020, Austin and his hunting partner traveled to Wrangell-St. Elias National Park and Preserve in Alaska on a 10-day hunting trip. The two had been planning and preparing for their dream trip for over 2 years. The pair were hunting moose. On Saturday, September 19th, the pair killed a moose a little less than a mile from their campsite. The moose the two killed weighed over 1,600 pounds and would yield approximately 600 pounds of meat. They decided to field dress the moose, then return the next morning to carry the meat on their backs to the camp. Pfeiffer and his companion returned to their camp for the night. The next morning, the two woke early and headed back to the kill site to cut and pack the meat. Once at the site, they began cutting the meat. Pfeiffer continued cutting the meat as his friend carried a load back to camp. He removed his backpack and laid his gun down so he could work faster. The plan was to haul the meat back to camp, then to a location where a small plane could land and pick them up. The area where the men killed the moose was dense with vegetation. While cutting the meat, Austin was surprise attacked by a huge grizzly. The bear was on him so fast he didn't have time to react or reach his rifle. The details of the events are unclear. When his hunting partner was returning to get another load of meat, he got about 50 yards from the moose kill when he encountered the grizzly bear. It charged him. He was able to fire his rifle several times in the direction of the bear. The bear continued to charge. The bear got about 20 feet from him when it flinched, changed direction, and ran off. The friend continued to the moose site where he found Austin's body. He returned back to the campsite where he called the air taxi that had flown the men into the area. The air taxi called the Park Service and the Alaska Wildlife Troopers and reported the attack. A few hours later, they landed at the scene of the attack. The gruesome attack was the first known fatal attack since the park and reserve was opened in 1980. Park rangers said the bear was no longer in the area. The meat from the moose was salvaged, and Pfeiffer's wife had them donate it to the nearest village people. It's not unusual for kill sites to attract bears in Alaska. Experienced hunters are well aware of the danger it presents. A concessions management specialist for Wrangell-St. Elias Park and Preserve said they saw indications that the bear attempted to cache part of the moose, but they could not tell if that was before or after the kill. They believe it's possible the bear found the moose after the pair field dressed it and left it for the night. When the two returned the next morning, the bear may have wandered off, but returned when Pfeiffer was alone. Mansion said that Pfeiffer's body was found at the kill site. She said that he did not have a pack on at the time his body was discovered by his hunting partner, or when the National Park Service received his remains. His rifle was found, but away from his body, out of reach when the bear attacked. It's believed even if the rifle was right by Pfeiffer, the attack was so sudden, he wouldn't have had time to fire a single shot. The area is so dense with vegetation, spotting a predator is nearly impossible. Park Service spokesman Peter Christian said bear attacks on hunters packing meat is extremely rare. He continued saying, "These hunters didn't do anything wrong. There's a lot of ways Alaska tries to kill you." Funeral services were held on October 5th in 2020 at Storyside Church. Jason Long, age 39, was from Eagle River, Alaska. Long was hunting alone near the Chisana River in Wrangell-St. Elias National Park and Reserve when he encountered a sow and her 2 cubs. After the attack, Long was able to press the SOS button on his Garmin InReach GPS device. This triggered an Air National Guard rescue mission and National Park Services to the area. A 210th Rescue Squadron HH Payhawk 2 from the Elias Air Force Base was already in flight on a routine test mission near Takitna when it was diverted to the injured hunter's location. 2 pararescue men were dropped at the scene to get Long ready for transport and give immediate first aid. Long was flown to the town of Northway, Alaska, then flown directly to the Providence, Alaska Medical Center, which is the largest hospital in Anchorage. He was treated for lacerations and puncture wounds and later recovered. The National Park and Reserve released a statement that the bear would not be tracked down. It was determined that the bear was acting defensively. The park said that female bears with cubs are naturally defensive of their young, especially if surprised by someone. Commander Carbajal, age 37, had been a pilot for the Coast Guard since 2009. His co-pilot, Lieutenant A.J. Hammack, age 35, was based on Cape Cod in Massachusetts, but spending a few weeks in Alaska for the Coast Guard. En route to a mission, the Coast Guard MH-60 had to change its course by a mile to avoid some clouds when they noticed a man on the roof of a shack waving in the air. The door was completely ripped off its hinges. Across the top of the roof, the man had written in large letters, "Help me," and SOS. Commander Carbajal asked his co-pilot if the man was waving one hand or 2. His co-pilot answered 2. Commander Carbajal said that is a sign of distress. As the team circled to land, the man stumbled outside of the shack and fell to his knees waving a white flag. The terrified man had used tape on his leg injuries. The man appeared to be in his late 50s or early 60s. He told the crew that he hadn't slept in days, that he was attacked a few days ago by a huge grizzly bear. The bear dragged him down to the river, but he was able to escape to the shack. The bear returned each night, attempting to finish the job. He had a pistol, but was down to his last 2 rounds. He said he was staying in the shack since June 12th on a small mining claim. It only took about 15 minutes to fly the man to Nome, where an ambulance was waiting. The man insisted on walking himself to the waiting ambulance. He was treated for his injuries and recovered. Petty Officer First Class Allie Blackburn, a spokeswoman for the Coast Guard in Alaska, told reporters that it was unusual for a person to have several encounters with the same bear. She said the man's situation had become increasingly dire. The Coast Guard stressed that the encounter served as a reminder of the importance of carrying an emergency beacon or satellite phone when in remote areas. Commander Carbajal had been flying from Kotzebue to Nome, where the team was assigned to fly a team of scientists to the coastline to search for dead whales, seals, and walruses. He said if not for the clouds, they would have been in the next valley over flying and missed the injured man.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more from Wild Animal Network.